Lightens, your best source for OE quality automotive and heavy-duty accessory drive tensioning devices. We know tensioners because we invented them.
We're here in the Babcox Media Studio, live in Akron, Ohio, with none other than Clay Millican, driver of the Parts Plus Top Fuel Dragster. Clay, great to have you here.
I am so glad to be here. So impressed with the studio. I've been rambling on and on about it.
Well, we're glad to have you. How long have you been associated with Parts Plus?
This is our 11th year.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
Yes.
Great organization.
They have been fantastic to work with. I feel like I've grown them and they've kind of grown with our program. I mean, we entertain typically pre-COVID around 1,000 Parts Plus members, warehouse associates, stores come through our pit area. It's an amazing thing. We have a lot of fun.
So Clay, racing, it's about winning, of course, but it's also about business. And what's your favorite part of the business side of the racing?
Kind of mentioned that just a little bit earlier. You know, all the Parts Plus people that come in and out of our hospitality area, which I kind of want to explain that real quick. That is one thing that separates NHRA drag racing in general from NASCAR, Formula One. We kind of talked about that before we went on air. But we make a run down the racetrack and our customers, our people are able to come right to our pit area. We have a nice hospitality area set up right beside the race car. When we make a run, we do, when we make a run, we do a complete engine rebuild. And our customers are able to sit right there and watch it. And when I say a complete engine rebuild, it is done typically in less than an hour.
My goodness.
So we have our customers, our fans. That's not just a thing for Parts Plus, but if you buy a ticket to a drag race, you have a pit pass. You can go and watch these amazing teams completely rebuild these engines from top to bottom and go make another run in less than an hour. So the fan access is what's so awesome about it, because you almost have unlimited access, you know, to everything except literally standing on the racetrack. And that's what's really cool about it.
So you're the driver.
Passenger.
You're like the quarterback. You get a lot of the notoriety. But you've mentioned it, but maybe just dig down a little more. It's really about the whole team, right?
Oh, it is.
Tom Brady can't do it all on his own. Clay Millican can't do it all on his own, right?
It is definitely a team sport because it takes every nut, bolt, wire, driver, people to make those things operate. Driver can only make up a small amount or they can cost a small amount, and that may be the difference between winning and losing. Drag racing has become so competitive now that it is down to the thousandth of a second.
So a lot of pieces, parts, a lot of detail, a lot of teamwork, a lot of strategy. I got to believe on your team, culture is a big piece of the action. Can you describe the culture you try to create within your organization, starting with Parts Plus and other players, and how that all comes together?
We are a small team in comparison to some. I mean, I like motocross, supercross. I like following that sport. And in that sport, you want to be part of a factory team. You know, you want to be on Team Honda, Team Suzuki, Yamaha, whatever the case may be. Where in drag racing, you have some big teams. You have the DSR, Don Schumacher Racing. You've got Kalita. You know, you've got the Force Camp. You know, and to me, those are like the factory teams. We, on the other hand, are a single car team, and we're very small. So we tend to become very family oriented. We tend to know, you know, if somebody's having a bad day or if their truck broke down. We tend to know everything about each other, and it's a very tight-knit group. No different than, you know, the Pronto network, Parts Plus. I go in and out of the office in Memphis all the time. I mean, it is definitely a very tight, small group, and it's the only way I've ever drag raced, to be honest with you. I mean, my wife goes with me to all the races, and you know, the people that work on the car and end up, you know, we end up doing all kinds of stuff together off the racetrack. I want to say a lot of times, you know, you become like an uncle to some of these young kids or a brother to some of the olders, but it is definitely very family. And that's the only way I know how to do it, to be honest with you. I get attached to people really quick.
Right. So you have some long-time relationships with a lot of your team members. And,
Yes, whether they're still with our team or not.
Right.
If they move to some of those factory teams, and like I say, it's aggravating to lose them after you train them. But if they can better themselves, then you got to encourage them to do it.
You're happy for them to move on to the next opportunity.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So you've been in how many races have you been in, Clay?
Ooh, man, that's a tough question. I quit my normal job, and I just mentioned I'm not a statistician, but I can remember this. I quit my normal job May 10th of 1998 and have done nothing but drag racing since then. And I was racing locally and traveling a little bit previous to that, but I had a normal job. I worked at the Kroger food warehouse, did everything from pull grocery orders, drive a forklift for many, many years, and got the opportunity to become a professional driver and hadn't looked back.
How do you go from the Kroger warehouse to driving a dragster?
That's a very long story that I'll do my best to make very short.
You must have been driving very fast forklifts.
Oh, I might have been a little rough on the forklifts. They knew me pretty well back in the shop in the forklift area, no doubt about it. But my life story cut down to a couple sentences here. I became good friends with a young man named Peter Lehman, and you're certainly in the automotive world. The Lehman family owned Velcro Gasket.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And Peter and I became friends, and he saw an opportunity and he believed in me. He bought in my dream and he gave me the opportunity to drive, and I've ran with it ever since.
Oh, that's fantastic. I didn't realize that. Yeah, the Lehman family is very, very famous in the automotive aftermarket.
For sure. They had never been to a drag race like, although they've been very involved. Peter had never been to a race, and it's a cool story, and it's a long story, but Peter Lehman is a very special person, still one of my best friends, still helps me out to this day.
Oh, that's fantastic. I did not know that.
Yeah.
So your most memorable race, memorable win, memorable experience, do any kind of jump out at you over the years?
Oh, 100%, no doubt about it. It would be winning Bristol on Father's Day weekend. I lost a son in 2015, and Father's Day was certainly not one of my favorite holidays. And Bristol does an amazing job with the fathers pre-race. So for me, you're getting text messages all morning, Happy Father's Day. I didn't want to see that. I didn't want to think about it. It was just something I wanted to block out. They do driver intro. They typically put dads in the back of a pickup truck and parade them down in front of the fans. I avoided that. I just avoided it. Long story short, I ended up winning my first NHRA national event on Father's Day. So no doubt about it, I've won a lot of races. I've won some since then, but nothing will ever top that. That was, without a doubt, a Father's Day gift given to me by my kid to let me know that, hey, Father's Day's still okay.
Wow, that's a great memory. Wow, it's very touching, right? Your son was looking out for you, right?
100%, 100%.
So, Clay, you go 1,000 feet in just over 3 seconds, 300 miles per hour. Can you describe it? And what's it like going from that to driving? What do you drive day to day? And what's that transition like?
Well, I have been fortunate enough to do a lot of really cool things in my life. I've done everything from jump out of airplanes to ride with U.S.A.F Thunderbirds. And I have never found anything that even comes close to what it's like to stomp on the loud pedal of a top fuel dragster, including the Thunderbirds. Now, yes, they can pull more G's, but it's not in a straight line. When we left the runway in the F-16, afterburner, the whole 9 yards, I was literally twiddling my thumbs. No comparison. Straight line acceleration, a top fuel car, nitro-powered car, they're the fastest accelerating vehicles on the planet. The numbers don't make sense. 0 to 100 miles an hour in less than 1 second, 0 to 200 in 2 seconds, and 0 to 300 miles an hour in barely over 3 seconds. So acceleration in a straight line, there's nothing to compare that to. It is the ultimate roller coaster. That's what I call it, because you can't find that in anything else. And Believe me, I try, because it's like, man, there's got to be something that gives me that adrenaline rush of doing that. Even jumping out of an airplane, that moment of stepping out of the plane, you get that rush, but it's just not the same.
I don't even know what to say to that. I wonder what the Thunderbird pilots would say to that. I wonder if they've been in the back of a dragster.
They could do that now. There's actually one 2-seat Top Fuel car out there. I actually went and watched it a few weeks ago. It is 100% a Top Fuel car that has a second seat. Now it's not a cheap ride by no stretch, because it's very expensive to run one of these things, but it's an opportunity is available for people to experience that.
How
now.
far does that one go? 300 miles an hour?
But due to insurance, you can only go to what we call half track, so 1/8 of a mile. But his goal, when you pay for that ride, is to go 250 miles an hour. But I promise you, nobody's ever, unless they've driven a night car, you've not went from 0 to 250 in a little over 3 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah. The moment you stomp on the loud pedal, it's 4.5 Gs instantly. The moment that it goes wide open throttle, a couple 100 foot into the run, which a lot of people, they tell me, man, I just want to hit the gas. I want to see what that feels like. But it actually accelerates harder further down the racetrack, because we have to slip the clutch in the car so much that we got to get the car moving. And then we start applying the clutch, and the Gs actually go up. So on a really good run, it's over 6 Gs at a couple 100 foot into the run.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what do you go to the grocery store and every day?
You're going to laugh at this.
Huh? Must be something fabulous.
My everyday driver, and I have always been this way, is a Dodge dually with a diesel in it. I'm a diesel dually kind of guy. I have been for years and years. I have a 2011. It's got over 200,000 miles on it. That is my everyday driver. I'm working on a couple of cool projects that way when I get asked this question, that I'll be able to say, well, I also have, but I don't have either one of them finished.
What does your wife drive?
A Mini Cooper.
Wow. So I can tell, just visiting with you and seeing you, you're very fit. You're lean, you're fit. And I'm thinking that what you do requires a whole heck of a lot of fitness. You got to be strong, et cetera, et cetera. What is your fitness eating routine? You said you're not drinking beer. You're a coffee guy. So If you're not drinking beer, I'm sure you're not drinking martinis. And what's your routine on fitness and diet and all that?
So I'm 55 years old. So I'm not a young guy by no stretch of the imagination. And I am very fortunate that I weigh 140 pounds. I weighed 140 pounds in 8th grade. So I'm just genetically lucky that all my buddies hate it because they got a little beer belly going, when we got in our 40s or whatever. I am naturally this size, but as I've gotten older, I decided that if I want to keep being at the top of the game, in this whole drag racing thing, and it is how I make my living, I have started working out. And I've started working with 2 kids out of East Tennessee State University. They send me a program. It's usually a 12-week program, and it's not about putting big muscle on. I appreciate you saying I look lean and all that. That is the idea. It's not about being, a muscly guy. I don't want to gain weight because the race car likes a light driver, but I want to be flexible. For one, I like playing golf, so flexibility is good for that. But the real reasoning behind it is, if you do have a crash, luckily I haven't had a lot of those in my career, you want to be flexible. You want to be able to kind of go with whatever's happening in a crash. But, you want to be fit. If your body's fit, your mind's typically a little sharper as well. And so, I've never been an alcohol guy. I will admit I'm not the greatest eater in the world. I like what I like. I'm a steak and potatoes guy.
Yep.
That's kind of what I am, peanut butter jelly, bologna sandwiches, but
those are all on my diet.
I'm 100% that guy. But yeah, Dr. Derek, Dr. Kayla, they stay after me. The one thing that they taught me, and I'd love to share this with everybody listening, probably one of the most important things you can do is stay hydrated. Water. I became a water guy. Now I drink tons of water. I lay off the old Mountain Dews. I have a cheat day. Race day's actually cheat day. Hydrate all week long. And once, race day gets going, not necessarily first thing in the morning. Yeah, I love me a Mountain Dew on Sundays.
And so, obviously, a professional dragster racer, if you weren't doing that, what would you be doing? Would you be hitting a golf ball on the PGA Tour?
Oh, I'm not that good.
Come on now.
I would be, I've thought about this a lot. Me and Donna, my wife, we laugh about it all the time. If I wasn't a pro, I would be almost getting ready to retire from Kroger Food Warehouse. And there is no retirement from drag racing. It's just something you do. But
you are a spokesman for Your Car, Your Data. And I'd just love to hear your comments and thoughts on that.
Well, we've worked with the initiative Your Car, Your Data for a few years, and it is something that's near and dear to me. Again, I love cars. I love working cars, and I also have the opinion that if you buy something, you own something. And so I'm very appreciative of the manufacturers that make us cars. They make us safer cars. They make us much more fuel efficient cars. But I am not of the opinion that they should own the data that car is producing. If I want to work on it, I want to be able to access whatever information that car has. I also don't like the idea that this information is being transmitted back to the manufacturers, and we, as the owner of that car, we don't know what they're doing with that information. Are they selling it to some third party? I think so. If I have a check engine light come on, I should be able to take it to the shop that I've always went to when something gets above my head, and they should be able to access that information without paying an extra fee to the manufacturer. It's my car, it's my data, it's my choice where I take it. And so, yeah, I get pretty wound up about that. I mean, to me, it is not fair that when you buy it, you don't own everything that comes with it. I think the consumer gets tricked a little bit. We've all done it. We get to a dealership, and you've spent hours negotiating to buy this brand new vehicle, and it's got a stack of paperwork that comes of it. And when you're signing all that, you don't realize you have gave away some rights, right. And it's not correct. I mean, to me, I want to know everything that's going on. And I don't necessarily want them to know how fast I'm driving, how hard I'm applying the brakes, where I'm shopping, where I'm stopping. They're getting all that info, and you don't even realize it most of the time. So I've made a couple trips to Washington about this, met with some congressmen, and it's our right. If you bought it, you own it. It's your car, it's your data, it's your choice. I can keep going on that subject. I really can.
Well, thanks for those comments, and appreciate all you're doing on behalf of all the car owners. So talk to me. So the last question I'm going to ask is about this brakes program.
Mm-hmm. I mentioned I lost my son, and me and my wife, my family. And there was a racer out there named Doug Herbert. He and I were not, in any stretch of the imagination, good friends. You can go on YouTube and you can Google essentially, it was more of a pushing match, but it was on live television. Neither one of us wanted to stage, and we sat there forever. So there's no love lost between me and this guy named Doug Herbert. And he's a giant, by the way. I'm 5'7", 140. He's 6'2", 240. And I got in a shoving match with him, which was not very smart. But at any rate, I can't remember. I'm, again, mentioned years and statisticians. I don't remember what year it was, but he had two sons that he lost in a car crash, one wreck. They were driving too fast, had a wreck very near home. He lost both of his sons. So he decided to start a program to help other parents not have to go through something like that. And so he started what's called Brakes, Be Responsible and Keep Everyone Safe. And it's a teen proactive driving school. It has grown tremendously. He actually quit racing, and he now dedicates his entire time, goes to this. They have schools all over the country, and it is free. This is a very in-depth teen proactive driving school. They teach everything from wheel drop off, skid control, anything that can cause a problem for a child when they first start learning how to drive. It is not a learn to drive school, but it is a learn to react of what's happening. 90% of all teenagers are going to have a crash. Don't mean it's going to be a bad one, but 90%. So if you have a teenager or you know a teenager, go to putonthebrakes.org, find a school near you and sign a teenager up. Again, it's a free class. They bring in professional drivers. And I don't necessarily mean like a professional driver like me. They bring in stuntmen. They have drivers that teach the drivers of the presidential limo. They train the FBI. They train state police. They've even got one guy that has taught road racing to guys like Dale Earnhardt Sr., Jeff Gordon, Bill Elliott. He's now a trainer, and he's part of the brakes program. So, you're taking a teenager that has no clue, and they don't know what they don't know, and that's what happens to all of us. So they take your kid and put them in a really bad situation, but in a controlled environment. They teach them where to put their hands. They teach them where to look if the car is out of control. And the biggest problem that we all have, I'm holding up a cell phone. Yep. That is the biggest problem. It is that lack of attention of what's going on. And it's, yep, we've all been there, teenagers, we're indestructible and we know everything.
Right.
But these classes teach them they're not in control all the time. They put them in that situation. But that's the thing. If you're put into a situation, you're taught what to do, then when it really happens in real life, you'll have that muscle memory of what to do. But check it out, putonthebrakes.org. And if you know a teenage driver, get them signed up today.
Fantastic. So, Clay, it's great to have you at Babcox headquarters. Is there anything else you'd like to mention about Parts Plus or Pronto or anything in general while we're together here?
Well, I tell you, it has been a pretty crazy couple years for everybody, with the pandemic and, man, I just can't thank the folks at Parts Plus and Pronto, which that has been awesome as well. Those two groups merging and I'm getting to learn new people from that side of the world, on the Pronto side. Now it's just the network and, it's been exciting and it's been amazing to me how unbelievable the aftermarket has been. It's almost as if during this pandemic, everybody decided to fix their cars, and so business has been great.
Yep.
The hard part has been which is quickly changing, the not having the ability to have all the people at the race like we were used to, but that's coming back around. But man, I just, I look forward to continue working with everybody at the Pronto Network. That's for sure. Like I say, 11 years in now, and they are, how I'm able to do my job, and I do all I can to make sure that we help them out every chance we get. So they're much appreciated.
Clay, thank you for joining us on AMN Drivetime at Babcox World Headquarters. We're really glad to have you here.
I have had a blast. I appreciate the opportunity. And again, this place is awesome. Thank you for having me on.
Lightens, your best source for OE quality automotive and heavy-duty accessory drive tensioning devices. We know tensioners because we invented them.